What's going on, everybody? It's Noah, and in this episode of The Rise Method, I want to talk to you about how you can hypnotize yourself to be successful, to be healthier, to be more vibrant, more loving, to be that version of yourself that you hold in your mind, but you keep coming up against resistance again and again. And so by hypnotizing yourself through these practices I'm going to share with you today, you can more naturally experience that reality that you envision and bring it to you in the present moment. Now, hypnosis typically gets the rap, right, of it just being someone on a stage holding out a pendulum and they have total control over you and they cause you to cluck like a chicken and bark like a dog and all of these silly things. And when in reality, the purpose and the value of hypnosis, okay, and it's to recognize that hypnosis is an everyday occurring phenomenon and we're always experiencing hypnosis because hypnosis is ultimately a narrowed state of focus. It's a narrowed state of your attention. That could be on a person. Okay, if you're having, let's say, an argument with somebody, you're hypnotized, let's say, by the argument, by the emotions that are accompanying that argument. Or if you're engaged in a really exciting movie, okay, you're feeling all the feelings of the characters. It's almost as though you're there, you're in the movie. That is another form of hypnosis because it is, again, a narrowed state of focus or attention. So that does include the thoughts and beliefs by which you're hypnotized. Because on a moment-to-moment basis, again, you are experiencing hypnosis. You are hypnotized by some set of beliefs, of narratives, and you are showing up in a particular way based on how you identify with those narratives. It influences how you feel and how you behave, who you surround yourself with, the type of interactions that you have, and ultimately what you create in your life. Whether that relate to your health, whether that relate to your finances, whether that relates to your job, whether that relates to your relationships, whether that relates to your connection to a higher power and your spiritual satisfaction. Because it's all premised on the thoughts and beliefs with which you're identifying, these narratives that you're running and you are hypnotized by. So, with all of that in mind, what we can do is become aware of those programs, aware of those narratives, and then from recognizing the narratives and the programs by which we've been running, okay, we can now focus and cultivate these hypnotic beliefs or these beliefs by which we want to be hypnotized going forward because you're always experiencing hypnosis. So when you're under hypnosis of these ideal beliefs, let's say, that's when you begin to naturally take action and to naturally make those sales calls. That's when you start to naturally put yourself out there more. That's when you begin to naturally want to eat healthier and get to the gym or get to bed on time and have a meditation routine and stick to that routine because you're hypnotized by these certain beliefs and narratives. And so the mechanism by which this works is through an alteration of the subconscious mind. So let me give you an image to kind of illustrate this a little bit better. You can think of the sun in the sky rising throughout the day. And as the sun rises, okay, the background, the night sky, let's say the stars and the cosmos, that disappears. Or at least you can't see it. It's still there, but you're just not aware of it, let's say, until the sun sets again. And so in the same way, the sun being your conscious mind and the night sky being your subconscious mind, you always have your subconscious mind working. It's always online, even when you're asleep. That's what dreaming is because when the sun goes down, when the light of consciousness lays down, so to speak, okay, now you're made aware of these subconscious programs that are being played. That's when you start to have dreams, okay? You can start to see what's going on behind the curtain. And then as you wake back up, those programs are still running. Those narratives are still running, and they're influencing how you're showing up consciously. So what can we do, and how can we utilize our awareness to shape the subconscious mind so that we can dehypnotize ourselves from false beliefs, untrue beliefs, and then place our focus onto ideal beliefs and experience positive, healthier, wealthier, more loving states of hypnosis, you could say. How do we hypnotize ourselves to naturally be the person that we want to be? Well, it first begins with becoming aware of the false beliefs, becoming aware of what it is you're actually hypnotized to right now. And that's what's essentially understood as a program or a pattern that you have. Because over time, right, that's how you create programs or patterns. You run down this same neural pathway again and again and again. It's just neurons that fire together, wire together. So again and again and again, you're used to that program. And so it's just natural and instinctual, hence you're hypnotized by it. That's what grabs your attention, your focus. So when you come to a place of conflict with someone, immediately you're going to go back to your old ways. Okay. When an unexpected bill shows up, you're going to go back to your old ways of being afraid of not having enough, of being financially scarce for that, not being able to handle it. So the first step is the recognition of that false belief. Okay, and then that allows us, that guides us to the beliefs that we want to cultivate. So now, what do we want to use to hypnotize ourselves? What kind of hypnosis do we actually want to experience? And that's your imagination. That's the power of your imagination, to get clear on that. In the book Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz, that's kind of what he alludes to with the quote-unquote failure mechanism. You have this built-in failure mechanism, which is a negative feedback mechanism, let's say. And the point of that, when you're experiencing those failure-like symptoms, they're meant to guide you back to the success-type symptoms. And that's how you start to reactivate and nurture your automatic success mechanism, which again is your subconscious mind, because where your focus goes, your energy flows. So what you are consciously focusing on, and this could even be, you could even say what you're unconsciously focusing on, because again, you could be going throughout your day, and let's say you're tired, let's say you've had a busy day, so you're still awake, you're still conscious, but you're running off of these patterns, so to speak, and that's causing you to automatically behave in ways that you're just used to, so you're still hypnotized by it. Even though consciously, because you're awake, you're impressing those thoughts, more of those narratives, more of the same beliefs onto your subconscious mind. You're just instilling that pattern deeper and deeper. And so the subconscious mind cannot help but express that to you. Your conscious impressions make for subconscious expressions. So whatever you're focusing on consciously, subconsciously, that's going to flow to you and manifest around you. You know, it's kind of what we talk about with the reticular activating system of the brain as well. It's a part of the brain that's designed specifically for that process, to reinforce the narratives, the thoughts, the feelings, the beliefs, the perceptions that you hold of the world. That reticular activating system is going to reinforce those. So whatever you're telling yourself on a moment-to-moment basis, whatever you're choosing to focus on a moment-to-moment basis, is shaping that reticular activating system to seek that out and confirm that to you in the external world. So, again, recognizing the limiting belief, recognizing what we're hypnotized by, so that we can then cultivate the beliefs, the vision by which we want to be hypnotized now. Because as part of the RISE method, we talk about imagination. What you imagine, with the vision that you hold as your ideal self, that is the true reality. So we cultivate that true reality, that true vision. We bring it to us now into the present moment, and we surrender to that. So after we have curated an ideal state, so after we have noticed when we're consistently fighting with our partner and we want to change that, and we want to have a more harmonious relationship where there are healthier ways of conflict resolution, we cultivate what that looks like, what that feels like, how we might show up in a given circumstance. and then surrender to that in the now, meaning that is real. And you don't pay any more attention to the past way of being. Or rather, you don't give it any more life because it can pop up again. But you don't identify with that. You allow it to help you return to the end. It teaches you how to come back to the ideal way of being. So after you surrender to that, you are now embodying that in the present moment. And just through this process again and again, in the same way that you embedded these unconscious patterns that you're tired of experiencing, that you no longer want to feel, it's the same mechanism of repetition to more naturally feel healthier, wealthier, more energetic, more passionate, more peaceful, whatever that is. It's through repetition. Returning to those ideal beliefs and narratives. And by doing that, you hypnotize yourself for that success you seek. So it goes back to the RISE method of recognition, imagination, surrender, and embodiment. And so when you can learn to hypnotize yourself, when you can learn this power, it's going to propel you and accelerate you in so many different ways. You need only be aware that you're always in hypnosis. You're always being hypnotized by some set of beliefs, some set of programs that you've learned. So if you want to change those, you do so through the very same means that created them in the first place. That is your awareness, what you choose to focus on. Now, as a kid, let's say, yes, you did choose to focus on things, but you didn't have this quality of self-awareness, let's say. And so you give yourself grace for that. Give yourself grace for wherever you're at right now. Because by giving yourself that grace right now, that is what allows you to release attachment to the past beliefs so you can start to re-hypnotize yourself to the ideal beliefs. Start to more naturally be that person. Because if you're placing guilt and shame on yourself for having felt or having been a certain way in the past, that's just causing a downward spiral, right? We want to reverse that. So give yourself some grace there. And step into the new way of being now through hypnosis. Now, the best way to do this, and you can do this right when you wake up or right before going to bed, is to get into a relaxed state. Because when we are going about our day and we're just operating off these past programs, okay, we're in more of this beta brainwave state, high activity state. And the means by which we can make change at a subconscious level, we want to come down to more of that meditative alpha theta state, which is the state you enter, the brainwave state you enter just before falling asleep or right when you wake up. It's that hypnagogic state, as they call it, that teaming between waking and asleep. And so if you can hold your awareness of the ideal state, of the ideal beliefs, and what that looks like, what that feels like, what that sounds like, what that smells like, really placing yourself there as you fall asleep, you're instilling, or rather carrying with you a seed of how you'd like to show up. You're carrying that with you into sleep, which is the realm of the subconscious. And so you can do that right when you go to sleep, and the same thing right when you wake up to set your intention for the day as well. And it's so crucial to have those bookend routines for the day, whether that's meditation, whether that's going for a walk, having a glass of water, having something to set, to begin and end your day of sorts. So thank you for listening. Be sure to hit the subscribe button. I hope this brought some value to you. I hope you got a lot from this. Leave any comments or questions below. If there's anything I could elaborate on further or brought up some insights for you or some stories for you, I'd love to hear those. And until next time, thank you so much. Sending you much love. Let's rise.